right?
Yeah, you can when we're done.
Okay, good.
Share the
Fantastic.
link, people.
Welcome to Smooth Breakfast, an infotainment-packed show. What's the right programming you need? Exactly what I do. By the way, don't forget traffic ahead. And coming up around 6 is the headline news. Business Express takes you on how government policies affect your financial decisions. Get entertained on the grapevine for all your celebrity gist. And it's more action on your favorite sports on the locker room. Events if you have to, because Lagos talks here on Smooth. It's all that and more. With music just for you to help you commute all the way to work. The Smooth Breakfast. Mondays to Fridays from 6 a.m.
Feed your mind and the rest will follow.
You start with figuring out what does health look like for me, physically, mentally, emotionally, and work really hard on being good at you.
Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy life. Soul Food on Smooth 98.1.
And we are ready. Love music and love life. We are ready to feed your mind, and that will be done with the health information. You are welcome to Soul Food on Smooth 98.1. We love music, we love life, and we love a complete and healthy you. That's why we have the segment every Saturday from 8 till 8:30. My name is Oluwaseun, and you're welcome to be a part of it. We've got the WhatsApp line, we've got the call line. You can even drop your question, your chat, feedback, observation on YouTube, where we're currently streaming live. And you can see my face and that of my guest. You can search for youtube.com/smooth91fm Lagos. Again, youtube.com/smooth91fm Lagos. Use the live chat if you have anything to say, and we'll say it for you. And of course, you can get your question answered if it is a question. That said, I told you again that we've been talking about aging in the month of September right here on Smooth 98.1 Soul Food specifically. And we've talked about what aging does to your eyesight, what it does to your dental or your oral health. We've talked about what it does to your nutrition, your metabolism. And now we need to talk about what it does to your bones, your muscles, and the joint as well. Those things that if you see them, you think, oh, I am growing old. It is totally normal. Or those things that when you see them, you know, this is not normal at all. And you have to quickly seek for medical help. And to do that, I have my guest, who is the National PRO1 for Nigeria Society of Physiotherapy. In the month of September, I think 8th of September was the World Physiotherapy Day, and it was about inflammation, osteoarthritis. Now, part of the things we'll discuss today will definitely include arthritis, because it's one of the things that come with aging, I believe. Well, we'll get the accurate information on it. Now, so it's not just that, he's also the clinical director for Stroke and Spine Rehab Center, and he's an advocate in the world of physiotherapy and a healthier you, especially with strong bones and well put together muscles. I am referring to Adejugbagbe Muyiwa Kenneth. Good morning.
Good morning, Cher. Nice to be here. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you join me. Let's dive right into the conversation this morning. So, like I said in the preamble, we just want to get started with those things that come with aging. You know, you have to increase in years, and with that, your body, there are some wear and tears. So how does aging present in your body, your muscles, your joints, those normal things? We'll start with the normal ones before we now move to the other conditions.
Yeah, aging is actually a process, and it depends on actually where we're looking at it from. For someone that is actually, let me say, a teenager, is going to see us that we're in our 30s, you know, someone that is aged. So, and someone that is 40, 50. So it's actually a process. It's not something that is actually definite. That is, okay, this person's age. So it's actually a process, a lifelong process in itself. And I want us to also be very careful, not because the WHO is actually trying to push this and also try to promote it, so that people don't see, you know, older age as a disease condition. Even, you know, just like we have racism sexism, and now we have ageism because we don't want discrimination, of people just because they have the older age. So we actually have different kinds of aging, like as you said, the normal aging, or let me say the healthy aging. And according to WHO, it means the process of developing and maintaining the functional ability, to that enables well-being in old age. As we know, the WHO definition of what health is mental, physical, and social well-being. It's not just only the absence of ailments or diseases. So with you being actually, let me say, at old age, you're being able to maintain a very, let me say, functional ability. You're able to do those things that you want to do. You're able to interact with people. That is healthy aging. And of course, as one actually advances in age, things actually start, becoming different. Because as you said, you already have, let's say, someone to talk about the eyesight, someone to talk about the dental, someone to talk about even the general body. So when it comes to the musculoskeletal system, of course, as someone advances in age, things they're not really as flexible, they're not really as strong, they're not really as supple as they used to. And of course, there's this thing we look at the functional ability, we look at the intrinsic ability, and the ability for someone to actually relate and live within his or her own environment. So those three things are very, very important for someone to live, a very healthy lifestyle. And now, if you're actually trying to look at what are the normal changes that comes, in the musculoskeletal arena when it comes to aging, the bone mass, as according to science, it says that your bone is strongest when you are in your late 20s, and your bones are very strong. That's why you can actually see amongst even the athletes, when they get to the peak of their performances, when they're in their late 20s and early 30s, but afterwards you start to see this kind of gradual decline, this deterioration in their performance in sporting activities, and the same thing too with our day-to-day, occupational lifestyles that we actually get to do. Your bones actually is the very much strongest, but when you start getting towards, especially for women, towards the menopausal age, because of the reduction in the production of estrogen, the bones are getting more and more fragile. I've had quite a lot of patients that just a normal, I will not say normal, just a very slight traumatic force, like a kind of pressure, maybe they had a fall or a trip. And the next thing, a bone is broken. And it's like, when I was very much younger, come on, I've had falls. I remember when we were very small then, we would jump. We will say, my father cannot jump, my mother cannot jump, I'm the only one that can jump. Jump. And, and of course, you can actually do all of those things, but it is just a very, it's a normal change. As I said, aging is a normal, continuous process, lifelong. And again, we talked about osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is still talking about that reduction in the bone mass density. The strength of the bone is not really as strong as it used to. And again, the articular cartilage, you talked about joints. Joints is where two bones actually mix together. We have quite a lot of joints. The reason why I can actually move my neck, I can move my hand, move all my wrist, my wrist, my fingers, is just because of those joints. That's where two joints, so two bones actually meet together. Now, the articular cartilage, that is like the sandwich between those two joints, so that they are not just rubbing, on one another. It's the robustness and the suppleness of that articular cartilage with age, normally start getting depleted. This is something that's actually a normal change, And again, the structural integrity of the spine, of course, it's not really as robust. It's not really as, let me say, very supple as it used to. What is the intervertebral disc? That is the sandwich, in the spine. We have 33 vertebral bone. That's the bone which, is very, very much responsible. The reason why we can actually, stand up, we can sit and everything, and we can do many of the activities that we are doing. That is the spinal column. Now, the joints that actually sandwiches, or that joints, or each of those three vertebrae together, is what we refer to as the intervertebral disc. Now, we have some kind of fluid, let me say, part of, I don't want to go too much into all the all those terminologies. We call the nucleus pulposus. Yes, all those medical jargons. The nucleus pulposus actually has quite a lot of water content, that actually helps with this kind of, the shock absorbing ability of the spine. But you see that with old age, you are seated. Of course, as most of our jobs actually dictate that we have to be seated on the system. doing a lot of stuff, and you just, oh my God, I have to stretch my back. You're having some kind of, lumbago, some back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, and you see sometimes even the pain even radiating down to your buttocks. Even some are actually having this kind of numbness. So the structural integrity of the intervertebral disc, that's the joint between the vertebrae, of course, is not really as robust as it used to. Yes, it is not really a very terrible thing. It's very much normal. And again, what about the range of motion, the flexibility of your joints? I remember a client of mine was saying that when she was very much younger, she can actually, put her hands to the back and maybe do the hook, the hook of her bra, but she can't actually do that anymore. That's because, when there's talking about the articular cartilages still, everything, there's a kind of decline in the flexibility and the suppleness of all these joints. I remember when I was very much small, I can do this back flip, where I can actually just
cartwheel.
But, is that what I call it? Back, okay, cartwheel. But I can't anymore. If I try to go down,
you break your
start
back.
having this. Yeah, you break your back. Some people like this, if you want to pick something on the floor, you actually have to go down, bend at your hips and at your knees. But when we're very much, when we're younger, where the resilience is there, the flexibility is there, we don't mind all these things. And again, part of the normal aging, even though they said when we're in school, in biology, they said growth is the reversible increase in size. But I tell you, when you get old, there's a kind of little bit, you start shrinking. And that is because the intervertebral disc I talked earlier on, it actually has a particular height. But because the water content, is no longer as hydrated as it used to. So you just that you start losing a bit of, let me say the height of the intervertebral disc at the trunk region. You say, oh, daddy or mommy used to be taller than this. But you see that what they tend to start shrinking, and you see them actually in kind of stooped position. This is something. And again, another thing again is the foot arch. The foot arch is, of course, when you see someone actually running, it gives you this kind of shock absorption, and it gives this propulsive force whenever you're walking or you are running. It's like let me say a kind of support at the base of your feet. With advanced age, that support is actually being lost and it tends to flatten. So this actually, with that reduction in the thickness and the height of the intervertebral disc, and also with all the stooped position and someone actually being forced into a fixed flexion position whenever they are doing things, it can actually bring about that reduction in height. And again,
okay.
Do you want to stop there? Okay.
No,
Okay.
I don't want you to stop, but I just want you to pause so that we can go on the short break. And when we come back, we continue with it. And it makes sense why some people do not want to grow old with all those things you have listed out. If they had their way, they would just take something to stop the aging process. Unfortunately, there is not much you can do. You're listening to Soul Food right here on Smooth 98.1. We are talking about musculoskeletal changes that happen in aging. And I have my guest who is a physiotherapist. His name is Adejugbagbe Muyiwa Kenneth. Stay with us because we'll be right back after the short break.
Hello, everybody. I'm Clement Jasukor. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.
So we just have a short ad break for a minute, and then we come back, and then you can continue with everything.
Yeah.
I know this is your turf. You can talk 2 hours about it, and that makes me.
Yeah.
Come and have a wonderful time. Get ready for the most audacious, courageous night out for the Superstars of Comedy, Nigeria Comedy Awards, the best, the biggest, the funniest, and events that will break all barriers and give honor to the most humorous. Special performances by Kibaba. Nice. Date September 24, 2023. Venue Eco Convention Center, Victoria Island, Lagos. For inquiries, call 0802 327
On YouTube, Anike Vincent. Hi, Anike.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he talks about how this is really your fault. And says, "Iya mi kò lè bẹ́, bàbá mi kò lè bẹ́, èmi kò
Yes.
bẹ́
lọ́mọdé bẹ́ẹ̀.
And you're listening to the smoothest dial on Lagos Radio 98.1.
Yes, we keep it smooth, not just with the music, but with the talk as well. And we talk about every aspect, including your health and wellness. That's exactly what we're doing from now till 8:30. We are talking about aging, not just aging. We are talking about the musculoskeletal changes that happen and present with aging. My guest is a physiotherapist. His name is Adejugbagbe Muyiwa Kenneth. You can join us on YouTube. It is youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. You can drop your messages there, just like Anika Vincent has done. And you can also come to WhatsApp if you have anything to say or have a question building in your mind. 0809-444-0981. Again, 0809-444-0981. Now, back to some of the things you were talking about that comes with aging. You have mentioned some things, including that presents in the women. They are more prone to osteoporosis, then the joints, the reduction in height. And the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, what is the fate of short people? Imagine
I tell
somebody
you.
being 5'0" before, and then when you grow older, you probably reduce to something. But yes, what are some of those changes again?
Yeah, okay, continue. And again, the next one is sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is this reduction, in the mass, the skeletal muscle mass, And again, you'll be surprised that there's some kind of weight loss that actually comes, with advanced aging, amongst amongst the people. And how does that mean? That means the lean muscle mass, that one is heavier compared to fat in the body. So you can actually see someone that this person is looking bigger, is looking obese, but when you actually go on the weighing scale, it's actually weighing lesser. And that is because the skeletal muscle mass, which is the one that is very functional, that is responsible for movement, walking, climbing the stairs, or what have you, is gradually being replaced by adipose tissue, which is fat. So, and of course, fat actually weighs lesser compared to muscle. And again, gait pattern changes. You get to see that normally as you will walk, you walk with a very, with a normal stride. You can climb the stairs even without even holding on to the rails or using the banisters. You can actually do a lot of things and your speed is very normal. Someone says, oh, please, can you just catch me at that bus stop? And the next thing, you're already there. But with advanced age, your cadence, the gait speed, starts reducing gradually. Your coordination, before, if they just call you, say, maybe someone just call you, say, shame, and the next you can just turn in your body. But you cannot afford to do that anymore because because of coordination and looking at about what, the structural integrity of the joints. So you actually have to go slowly, in what you actually, what you are doing. Coordination, balance, is something too that is also very worrisome when it comes to advanced aging. It is very pertinent. I mentioned this. There are some 80-year-old, 85, 95-year-olds are actually healthier than someone that is even 55. So that's why I said we should actually be very, very careful. But these are just some structural changes, in the musculoskeletal architecture that comes with advanced aging that we have actually seen over a period of time. And again, posture. You actually get to see that some of them, they tend to bend over and they start having these kyphotic changes. What is kyphosis? Kyphosis is this hunchback, because it's like gravity is acting on them, the weight of their body, and you start seeing that they're actually, getting flexed over and over. And that is actually why, the geriatric medicine, of course, which geriatric physiotherapy is very, very important to reverse all these changes. It may not be a total obliteration of all these abnormal changes, or the normal changes, but it's something that you can actually slow down the progression, of all these postural changes that actually gets to be. I have something actually written down here. Reduce weight loss, as I was saying. Men gain weight until they're about 55. And women actually gain weight till about 65 years old. Of course, for men, because of the testosterone, is very, very much important. And that's why you actually get to see some people, if they want to actually gain muscles, they get to have some steroid injection. Testosterone is a little bit, steroidal too, and it's the natural one that's being given to us, by our creator. So as one actually ages, fat tends to replace, muscles, and muscles actually is the one that we need, is the functional one. Again, there's reduced, reflexes. Something that you can actually get to do fast. You can react to things, very fast. Reaction time is very, very, optimal when one is younger. But with advanced age, things actually tends to be a little bit slowed down. And again, reduction in dexterity, fine motor movement. You actually want to button, you can actually do that without even looking. But if you want to actually button your clothes, or you want to put the hook, of a bra, or you want to actually even put on your glasses, you actually have to be very intentional, about it. And these are part of the things, looking at it holistically, the changes that actually get to happen with advanced age. And as many of my patients will say, Muyiwa, don't grow old. I say, sir, are you swearing for me? Are you saying that because we always get to pray that we should live old, we should grow old, but at the same time, as you're actually making that prayer, we should also, pray to live old and also healthy, so that we can actually enjoy what the environment actually affords us and also enjoy maybe our family and the people around us. So I'll just put a stop to that as regards the normal changes, that comes with advanced aging. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that enlightening overview of the changes that happen with aging in musculoskeletal composition of the body. Now, I particularly liked when you said there are some 85-year-olds, 93-year-old, 95 who are much more healthier than some younger ones. So that's to tell somebody who's listening and saying, oh, all those things will happen to me. It doesn't have to be, which will lead me to the second part. How can you delay the progression of these changes?
Yeah, thank you very much. As there's a Yoruba proverb, and I'm a Yoruba myself, so I'm just going to try and put it in English. It says, it is what the bird eats that you actually uses to fly. It is what is inside of you. And that's why when I was talking about the definition of healthy aging, according to WHO, we talk about intrinsic capability, functional ability, and the environment. So the intrinsic ability is very, very important. And the best thing that you can do for your older self when you're 65, when you're 75, when you're 85 and 95, is you start investing into the health of your neuromusculoskeletal system right now. And as I said, the skeletal muscle mass, and even the bone is at its strongest when you actually until your late 20s. So the best thing you can actually get to do is start, galvanizing, start strengthening, start working on your bone mass, on your muscle mass right now. That's actually the very best advice. But now, I think the two of us now, we're over 30, we are in the third floor, going to the fourth floor, and very soon, before you know it, there's still something that we can still do, and that is you exercising. Physical activity. What is the difference between physical activity and exercising? Exercising is very structured. Is a very much program that is, designed to achieve a particular, target, objectives. But if you're talking about physical activity, someone just, sitting down 8 o'clock, to 5 o'clock on, in their desk and just typing. Just occasionally, we just go for coffee or they will go for lunch, but most of the time they're always sitting. Your physical activity is not optimal. It's not, it's not actually the best. And I remember a client of mine says that, she actually went for medical checkup and they said your vitamin D level is quite very low. And she was very surprised. And the doctor was asking, but you are from Nigeria. The sun there is actually very, burning. She says she wakes up very early in the morning time. She goes to her office, of course, everything is AC. She doesn't really see the sunlight. She's just seated there. And when it's 6 o'clock, she closes, the sunlight is gone. So that's why that takes me to physical activity and exercises. Nutrition is very, very germane, very crucial and fundamental to having a healthy, well-being in older age. You need to eat well. Food containing calcium, vitamin D. And if you think you don't really get, have that too much of appetite, I tell you, then you can get to have some supplements. There are actually a lot of supplements, but it's better for you to meet with your doctor or meet your nutritional dietitian, or nutritionist, clinical nutritionist to actually advise you as to what you can actually, all these foods that we eat, they are very, very, the food you eat actually makes, let me say how strong you are and what have you. And again, what is the next thing? Some exercises such as swimming. Swimming is fantastic. Yay. Fantastic. That's a good one, because there are a lot of literature that say that whenever people say they want to go for jogging, they want to do some little bit of running. Sometimes running, especially when you don't actually have good footwear, can actually damage your knees, can damage your joints, So we're just going to say, do something that will not put too much of impact on your joints. So, and that is swimming. Swimming, the buoyancy of the water, you actually get to lose, all the calories and all the things, the fat you want to lose, but it's a very healthy way of actually, of exercising. Cycling. fantastic. You can actually get to increase, you can get a bicycle ergometer, that's stationary bicycle, or you can actually get a normal bicycle and do some cycling. As you are moving those joints, and everything, you're burning the fat, it's a very healthy way of actually burning the fat, the adipose tissue, and also strengthening, globally your muscles. Invest in good footwear. I always get to say this, and you need to invest in good footwear, especially if you want to actually do a lot of, exercising, hiking or walking, or maybe climbing the stairs. Invest in you wearing high heels and some other stuff. Of course, you try to reduce the frequency of that. Invest in a very good trainers. Really, very, very important. And we know what is happening in Nigeria now because of the hiking fuel prices and everything. People actually tend to, they tend to trek some more. Invest in a very good footwear. Quit smoking. Smoking, it has been shown, literatures have actually proven it, that it reduces your bone density. So we really get to advise people, everybody, and it's always actually very much written on the back of the cigarette that what smokers are liable to die young. So that means even we're talking about LDH, you may not actually get to experience it if you actually, smoke, and again, reduce alcohol intake, and again, balanced diet, as I've said, that strengthen your muscles. And let's thank God for all the proliferation of all these gym houses that we have in Lagos and all over now. People are actually going to strengthen their muscles. Resistance exercises are very, very important. And again, people in older age, they should invest in a bungalow. Housing is very, very important. Instead of you going up the stairs and everything, it comes with it because you need to actually preserve yourself. And we're talking about osteoporosis. Any small thing, there's a fault. And most of the faults, is always at maybe the upper parts of the humerus, the hip bone, the spine. There's a bit of kind of compression fracture. So someone actually has to be careful. You have to actually mitigate any risk that might actually lead to fall. And we talked about, meet your doctor. And we need to start taking our health, very seriously. And we're talking about just going to the hospital for checkups regularly. So they can measure your bone density and say, okay, are you losing? They can give you some, biphosphonates, some medications to actually slow down the resorption of calcium in your bone. We need to go for regular checks up, as we age, especially when we're in our 30s, going to 40s to 50s. Of course, if you have done all of this, very, very important is that we need to also start invest. And again, you should be very careful of any hospital that does not have a rehabilitation department. We are talking about rehabilitation. How will you go to a hospital and they don't have a physiotherapist? These are the things that we are actually clamoring for in the Nigerian Society of Physiotherapy, that every hospital should have a licensed physiotherapist. And now we now have specialists, in physiotherapy, the geriatric, physiotherapists that actually help you to live a healthy lifestyle. So I think I'll just put a stop right there.
Thank you, as always. Now we'll take a short break, the final one, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping this conversation up and taking the question of Charles Chidozie, who says, is going up the stairs not part of exercising? It might be, but for someone who's quite old, you might need to reduce the frequency. But then I will get the physiotherapist's thought on that right after this break. You're listening to the conversation on musculoskeletal changes in aging. My guest is a physiotherapist. His name is Adejugbagbe Muyiwa Kenneth, and I am Oluwaseun. You're listening to Smooth 98.1.
Love life.
Whether I'm passing by the food market, visiting the salon, or filling up my
I started swimming recently, and
that's a good one.
I thought I was fit, Muyiwa. I had a muscle pull in the water because of my
the whole movement and everything.
Yeah. That thing will test you. It will shame you.
Yeah. It's actually a very healthy way of exercising. I can't swim, but at least I'm doing some cycling. But I would actually like to really, start doing some training when it comes to swimming. It's a very good exercise, actually.
Music, love life station.
Love music and love life. Love life, literally, because you need to love life for you to be able to make these changes that are being highlighted so that you can have healthy aging. You don't have to be that rickety in your old age if you start to make the lifestyle choices now. And my guest this morning, physiotherapist Adejugbagbe Muyiwa Kenneth, has mentioned a number of them, including your, retirement coming with a change in your house. If you have had 3 3-story house before
Building.
because of your children and your whole clan in there. Maybe you might just need to move to the last floor, or
Yeah.
you change the house entirely for the sake of your health. Now, the reason we talked about that is because of the chances of falls that might increase as you ascend up the stairs. Now, Charles Chidozie says, is going up the stairs not part of exercising?
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's why I said it's better for us to start investing in our health right now. Of course, when you are much younger, you can take the steps. Very good way of actually losing, lose some calories and what have you. But when you start getting, because I'm not just only talking to the young population, there are a lot of aged people actually listening to this show, and that's what that advice is actually for them. So if you know you're actually struggling, using the stairs and you're having some joint pain, arthritis and what have you. And so it's actually very, it's better in that kind of situation just to mitigate that particular, acute, pain that the patient is feeling. That instead of you taking the stairs, then, it's just a wise thing and a very common sense thing to do that. Instead of you going up the stairs and going to yours, why did you actually bring the bed downstairs? Or, maybe if you actually have the financial resources, why don't you just invest in a bungalow? So where everything is actually on one level, this is actually what I'm saying as regards that. But when you're much younger, just like of our own, population, it is something that could please take the stairs instead of the lift. So that's actually, I just need to make that very, very clear in that. Of course, for older adults, and again, please, whenever, even though you are young or you are aged, always use the rail, always use the banister. There are a lot of people that actually, because they're trying to run up the stairs, and they miss a step, and the next thing, they fracture their bone. Now, if that happens in amongst a very, let me say, in a very older person, that can be catastrophic, and of course you can actually have series and multiple fractures. So please always use the banisters, and of course if you have the resources and you have the means, instead of you actually move your bed downstairs or invest in a bungalow, or if possible get a lift, to actually sometimes add life. It's not really the best way to actually go when it comes to matters like this. So very, very important. And again, it's very important that we look at what is. You can see that there's a proliferation of care homes in Nigeria now, what we don't used to, because now presently, according to Statista, we have about 9 million, people over 60 years of age. Of course, you need to take into cognizance, our, what's that thing called again? Our life expectancy in Nigeria.
Yes.
Yeah, so 60 over, so that's about 9 million. And the WHO is saying that by the year 2050, most of the aged population is going to be living in low income and middle income country, which Nigeria is. Now, in Africa, generally, we get to have about, let me say, about 30 million people, and Nigeria actually boasts of about 9 million. So that you can just imagine, of course, we are the giant of Africa when it comes to population. So this is something, this is something that we need to take into cognizance. And now we have the most youthful population. But let me tell you, in the next 20 years, in the next, let me say 30 years, that youthful population is going to advance into that aged, the aged bracket. And that's something that we need to take into cognizance, and we need to start investing. And that's what we're calling on the federal government, that it is high time that our healthcare system actually understands the role of, when it comes to geriatrics, and when it comes to frailty. You can actually become frail. How can you actually get to know? You get fatigued easily. You can't do anything that actually, of resistance. Your ambulation, that is walking, is very much not as it used to be. It's slowed, and coordination, your gait pattern is changing. If someone is very prone to develop illnesses. Of course, if someone should have a cold, or if you have a flu, or if you have, let me say, urinary tract infection, as a young person, you can actually bounce back after taking your medications. But when it comes to a frail, aged person, they need to do more and more, and they will not. Some of them are not able to recover fully. So it's like a spectrum, a very dynamic spectrum of health. They get well now. Any small, slight, stressor or any kind of stress in their health, again, they are back in. So these are some things that the government needs to, our tertiary institutions, our primary healthcare system, and also our secondary healthcare system needs to invest in. Have physiotherapists, have the doctors, have the pharmacists, have the nurses, a multidisciplinary, so that we can actually tackle frailty and this unhealthy aging lifestyle amongst the population. Okay, I think that's something I just need to drop that.
I couldn't have asked for a better resource person, Muyiwa. Thank you so much for your time and the
Okay.
knowledge shared, especially on that data. It is something interesting and at the same time worrisome about Nigeria. So globally, we seem to have an increasing age of or increasing population of aged people, but reverse is the
Yeah.
case for Africa, of which we mentioned that Nigeria is the giant of Africa in terms of population. And the
Yeah.
worst part is, as much as we have quite the young population, because the data suggests that the average age of Nigeria is 18, then the fertility rate as well is pretty decent. Now, in terms of life expectancy, you cannot believe that Nigeria is the second worst or second least in the
Awesome.
entire world,
I
right
can just
above
imagine.
Chad,
Yeah.
in between Chad and
Wow.
Lesotho, which is terrible. It
It's
is
terrible.
estimated that the life expectancy is 55 years of age. And we know that there are a number of things that culminate into that, from the
Yeah, of
healthcare
course.
system, which is a huge part of it, to the social infrastructure, security, and all
True.
of that. In other
True.
words, like you alluded to, somebody might not even live up to this age where they start to
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah.
So
True.
there is work to be done. And of course,
There's
this
work, a
is
lot
where
of work.
where you yourself just know that I have to take conscious efforts and step and make choices so that I can preserve my own life and live a
True.
good quality of life when I'm older. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Muyiwa. It's been absolutely enlightening.
Thank you
Now, for
very much
people
for
to
having me.
always a pleasure. Your social media handles for people to keep up with you.
On Instagram, it's Ademoken, 25, and just on Twitter, the same thing. So I think Ademoken 111. And if you want to get, of course, the Stroke and Spine Rehab Center, you can check. We actually on the web. We have a website, so you can actually just reach out to us if you have any question whatsoever. Or on Facebook, you can just type my full name, Adejugbagbe Muyiwa Kenneth. Yeah.
Thank you. I have been talking to Adejugbagbe Muyiwa Kenneth, who is the clinical director for Stroke and Spine Rehab Center and also the national PRO1. I believe your tenure will soon come to an end.
Yeah, I can't wait.
That's for the Nigeria Society of Physiotherapy. And good
Yeah.
luck on the next adventure in terms of your professional and political career.
Yeah, political. Good one. Thank you very much, Chef. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Now, for
Yeah.
someone who is just tuning in and you feel you have missed out on a lot, true that you have, but you can catch it up on YouTube. And for anyone you'd like to share this stream with, it is youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. Again, youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. We'll take that short break. And now on the other side, we will be with the children between 6 to 15 years of age on the show called Curious Minds. Let them be a part of it. Let them learn. Let them test their skills. And most importantly, let them learn how to speak their mother tongue. This is Smooth 98.1. Thank you. Had a fantastic time as always.